From then, when a few days has passed, finally, the New Year's programs ended, and soon the middle and high school third terms would be starting. Today in the lounge, once more, the figures of the girl and I were staring at the television. It's boring, isn't it? Indeed. The word came back in reply, but both of us were conversing while continuing to gaze at the screen. Hey, is this place always like this? I don't understand the meaning of your question. Ah, I meant how there's no one around. Nurses, doctors, add to that helpers, and if you take them out, then aside from our attendants, I had never seen anyone else. I guess it's because it's the New Year's. You want to know the reason for that? No, it's not like I meant that. Then I won't say. An exchange that wasn't even a conversation was indefinitely passed back and forth. A slight breeze from the windows that couldn't open more than 15 centimeters. Occasionally, it would sway the girl's hair in the same way, and in the same way, would sway the white flowers. The two of us, while watching the boring television, were only spending days passing time. There came the sound of slippers. Oh, the two of you were in a place like this? In a place like this? Yeah. Saying that while rushing up was an elderly nurse. From just glancing at the nurse station once in a while, this person seemed to be the chief of the 7th floor. So, Seitsumi-san, you don't have a fever? It's alright, I don't have one. Seitsumi. Apparently this was the girl's name. You can't be roaming around outside anymore, okay? Alright? Everyone gets worried. That doesn't really matter. My, what kind of statement is that? Really, girls these days, there's just no helping them. And for a while more, the nurse continued scolding. To that, the girl called Seitsumi, let it go by with an indifferent expression. As if ignoring the slightly noisy nurse, she continued watching the boring screen. Well, later, I'll be coming to take a blood sample, alright? With those final words, once again, the nurse returned back to the nurse's station. Hey you. I mean, I can call you Seitsumi, right? Wrapped around the girl's wrist was the white bracelet. While looking at the blood type and the name there, I asked. Is something wrong, Seitsumi? Why is there no horrific? What? Even though you're the younger one. Hey, why is it that I'm the younger one? No real reason, I just thought so. It wasn't that I was upset at the word younger. It was just, no matter how you looked at it, one would believe I was 5, 6 years old. That was why I took out the license that was in my chest pocket and showed it to her. How about it, even though I look like this, I'm 20, you know. Like I thought, younger. With just a glance at the license, the girl gave only that reply. Hey, I don't really get it. It doesn't matter, does it? It's only just a bit older. As always, the girl spoke softly with no expression. Those eyes, while looking at the boring television, I felt that they were also looking at some place far away. When the morning temperature taking ended, I got onto the elevator, trying not to be seen by the nurses. Coming to the first floor, deliberately passing through the entrance for outpatients, and I just kept walking out of the hospital. The destination was the place I was taught before, not the nearby Station A, but the far Station B. It wasn't like I was planning on running away. The 7th floor, or home, there was no one who died outside of those two. Before, that was what I had heard. and it also seemed that that girl called Satsumi had gone many times to Station B. That was why, for no real reason, I simply felt like wanting to go to see that place once more. It's not like there are any guards around. Even so, us residents of the 7th floor were different from other admitted patients. While also thinking about that just maybe, I continued walking on the street to the early morning station area. Glancing at hurrying commuters and people going to school, I slowly moved on them at a measured pace. After walking a while, taking about 25 minutes, I finally arrived before the station. In terms of bus stops, it was about 4's distance. In a way, there's quite a bit of people around. That was the first impression upon seeing Station B. Because my clothes were pajamas, I stood out somewhat. However, if just like that, I bought a train ticket without a single problem, I felt I could go anywhere. Why was it not Station A, but the Station B that was recommended? I didn't know. However, if one were planning to run away, I thought it was a simple thing. Certainly, the girl was also supposed to have come many times, but why was it that she still remained on the 7th floor, even now I wonder? Early morning before the station, while watching the people hurrying by, suddenly that thought occurred to me. That night, after lights had been turned off, holding on to a book of manga, unable to sleep, I wandered around the ward alone. Normally, wandering around after lights out would get a scolding badly, but as residents of the 7th floor were given a relative amount of freedom. And with the lights off, and the usual lounge was pitch black. There, I saw her figure. "Hey, today you're looking outside." In the dark room, there was a response, but the face remained looking beyond the window. Immediately, I started talking about what happened during the day. That reminds me, this morning I went all the way to the station. Just like you told me, I went to see Station B. I see. But the girl's response was no different from the usual. Because she was supposed to have gone before, I had thought that there might have been some kind of reaction, but thinking about that and how the girl still remained here didn't mean that she really had no intention of running away. I will soon be able to go home. Eh? Suddenly the girl opened her mouth. Words as if she had seen clear through to my heart just now. But next is the 3rd time after all. So we might not be able to meet anymore. That's right. Most likely, when she said that she would be able to go home, she was talking about a temporary discharge. In this place called the 7th floor, being admitted more than 3 times, it apparently never happened. Especially, unlike the elderly, when considering the rate of progress of disease, it was even more so for younger patients like us. With that kind of meaning came the words, "We won't meet again." Say, which would you choose? Choose what? Which one you plan on dying at? Suddenly hearing the word death, my words caught for just a moment. Well, I haven't thought about it yet. I see. Well, you're still on your first time. The girl spoke in a lonely murmur. Of course, I knew even if I couldn't be here forever. Like everyone else, going in and out of the hospital, slowly weakening until someday, in the end, either this 7th floor, or surrounded by thin smiles, it would come to a choice between those 2 probabilities. I don't want home, but I don't want here either. Then, what will you do? Nothing in particular. I won't do anything. While I'm still to walk on my own, I'll just go somewhere. Somewhere? Even though it was obvious that if one wanted to run away, one could, this girl still remained on the 7th floor. When I thought about it, do you have some other place to go to? You want to pull me back? Huh? Or perhaps you want to come with me? No, I didn't mean it like that. Then don't ask. While gazing out the window, the girl spoke indifferently. As always, it had been a conversation where she did not even look in my direction. However, just that time, I saw that her usual expressionless profile seemed sad. Taught that the third temporary discharge would be the last, the first time I've come to this 7th floor, and then a girl who would soon face her second time. For me, I still couldn't really feel the things that were happening in reality, but someday I would also come to make such a face. From before dawn, rain fell, occasionally also changing to either sleet or snow. It lightly continued coming down. Within that, I was in the usual place watching the television. As always, this 7th floor was devoid of people. Is it interesting? Nope, boring. The girl came from the other side. Exchanging only 2 words, she quietly sat in the folding chair next to me. And then today also, the 2 of us began gazing at the television. Surely the girl was also the same. There was nothing else to do, nothing else she could do. Surprisingly, she responded to something on the television. Something the matter? Not particularly. The words were the same, not particularly, but it was a response that was different from usual for the girl. Becoming interested, I turned my eyes to the screen. What was on the screen was some kind of nature scene. On a beautiful hill, trees and flowers emerged into a landscape. And focused on the screen were a great many white flowers. They were flowers I remembered seeing before. They resembled the white flowers even now decorating the room by the windows. Are those the same flowers? Look, aren't they exactly like these? While speaking, I pointed first at the screen and then towards the window. They're the same kinds, but strictly speaking, they're different. Giving just a glance at the flowers by the window, the girl once again returned to gazing at the television while answering. To say the truth, even if she denied that they were the same, to me, I didn't know the difference between the 2. And anyways, for me, whether the flowers were the same or different, it really didn't matter. Instead of that, the girl normally would never participate in conversation. That girl surprisingly continued with her words. That was why I also tried to maintain the conversation. Are you, maybe, knowledgeable about this sort of thing? Not particularly. Really? But I can't tell the difference. The white flowers blooming beyond the screen. The white flowers in the vases beyond the girl's profile. While vaguely looking at both of them, I continued further with my words. So, these are orchids or lilies. Look, they've got a whitish color, right? Even though I had no interest, I managed to continue speaking. However, the girl soon became like usual and fell silent. With her usual expression, she only gazed at the boring screen. And when I had given up on the possibility that she would take up the conversation and once again began to move my eyes back to the television. Narcissu. Huh? They're Narcissu. While answering, for the first time she faced me, swaying her long waist-length hair. While pointing at the flowers shown on the television, she looked at me. Just like the flowers displayed on the screen, there was a white bracelet wrapped around a waist with the white skin. The first time I saw that face, I thought I saw the briefest of smiles.